Hi, in this video we use Adobe Lightroom to edit the London Eye. Hi, I'm Adam and welcome to First Man Photography, the channel that will help you take your photography to the next level. Before we get into the video though, if you haven't done so already, head over to firstmanphotography.com, fill in your details to join the email list, and I'll send you a free copy of the ebook on how to capture perfect exposure every time. Okay, let's get into this. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be going through an edit from my recent trip to London, and I went out and shot a long exposure of the London Eye. I also want to give you a quick update about the vlog that I said I was going to shoot. It turns out that it's much harder filming a vlog than I had anticipated. I started off well, filming bits and pieces before I left, packing up, travelling down. But then when I got there, got into shooting my wedding and it just got really busy. I had a terrible journey down there, in fact. Got stuck in traffic quite a few times. That got captured on the film, but moving into the day itself, shooting the wedding, I was so busy. It was raining, it was tricky conditions to shoot in. And in the midst of it all, I just didn't shoot any footage for the vlog. And that's simply because I forgot. And then the wedding ran over a little bit as well. So just sort of ran out of time and it just totally slipped my mind. That's something I'm going to have to work on if I'm going to be filming more vlogs. It's definitely something I want to do. I shot the time lapses intending them to be in the vlog, but I put them in the video from Sunday because I really like them and I think they worked well. I'll probably still put some footage together and then just put it out as a little something extra, but I just don't think it's going to be good enough for a standalone video. So, learning experience for me. I'm not a natural at video, but I want to get better and I want to give you guys some entertaining footage to watch. So I'm going to keep on doing it, hopefully create something good and get better at it in the future. So when I was out there, I did manage to capture a few pictures, including those time lapses. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link you up and put in the description down below so you can watch that if you haven't seen it already. And I did manage to shoot a nice picture of the London Eye, which we're going to go through the edit of that now using Adobe Lightroom. Before we do though, if you haven't got Lightroom and Photoshop yet, you can get that through the Adobe Creative Cloud Photography Plan for around £8.50 a month in the UK or $10 a month in the US, and they're the absolute must for photo editing these days. If you haven't got that yet, just head down to the description below, click the link and you'll get a 30-day free trial of both of those programs now. Okay, let's head into the computer and get into this edit. Okay, so we go straight into Lightroom and this is my image of the London Eye. It's not a particularly original image, but it's something I wanted to capture. So the first thing I do every time I pull up an image for the first time is just to look at the sort of quality, what needs removing and what doesn't. So the things that instantly come to mind are this little spot here and this sort of smudge, which is something probably on the front of the lens. Now you might want to clean the front of your lens before you take your picture, but I'm not particularly precious about my gear, so I usually just whack it on the tripod and start taking the picture and then worry about little issues like this later. I'm going to take them out, but the first thing I'm going to do is just go down to the enable profile corrections, because it's a long exposure. It generally puts on a little bit of a vignette that I don't want in this picture. I don't want to change the distortion at all, so I'm just going to remove that, leave that vignette. I'm just going to check what it looks like with and without it. Yep, I'm happy just to remove that little bit of vignette from this picture. So the next thing, I will now remove these two spots. So I'm just going to hit Q and remove them with the spot removal tool. That's one there. And then I can probably just get away with doing it nice and big here and removing that. Hit Q and immediately that looks a lot better. I've captured these nice little streaks here. There's one there and you can see these dots all the way along this line here, and that's from planes that were going through as I was shooting the shot, which I quite like, so I'm going to leave them in. Next, I'm going to crop out these cranes, which I don't think add too much to my image. So we're talking a really subtle crop here, but I want to get rid of them a little bit, and I don't think I need as much sky in the image as I have. So we're talking subtle changes, but still, let's go. So just remove that one there and then that one there, and it sort of brings it in to the line of that building a little bit. I still want to keep that light in there as well though, so I'm just probably going to do it about there. Hit return and then we have our image. Now I wasn't square on to the river, I was just sort of shooting diagonally across the river a little bit, So this line is never going to be straight because it wasn't straight stood in front or when I could view it right in front of me. So a couple of things I'm really happy about this image with are these lights here. The artificial lights have created some really nice star effects here and on these white yellow lights here and sort of all along the bottom here. And that's happened because I've wanted the longest exposure I could possibly get without using any filters, because if I added any neutral density filter, the 10 stop or the 6 stop, it was going to be a ridiculously long exposure with how dark it was. So I've gone at f22, which is the smallest aperture that the 17 to 40mm lens, which I've used here, can go. And because it's so small, it's created these really nice star effects on the lights, and that's why that's happened, and it's a really nice effect that I'm really pleased with. So next we'll start going through the edit, and I'm going to start with the white balance, I think, and it's a little bit too yellow, I think, so I want to introduce a bit more blue to it. So I'm just going to drag it down to about there. That's starting to look right, and then just introduce a little bit more pink to the image somewhere around there. That's probably a bit too much, so back down a bit, maybe to about 16. And I'm really happy with the sort of reds in it, the blue. The colours look really nice with the blue, the red, the pink, the blue again, and then this yellow. I think that's starting to look really good. So I'm just going to increase the contrast a little bit, because you're always going to want to add some contrast to your image. Somewhere around there probably looks right for me. I'm losing a little bit of detail in the highlights over here on this building, so I'm just going to bring the highlights down a little bit there to, well, a little bit more to about there. I think that's looking okay. And then I'm going to just boost the shadows a little bit as well, just to bring out a little bit more detail in the blue lights down here in the water. I mean, my histogram's not helping me out at all here, so I'm just going to see what the white and the black slider does. So just a little boost on that, I think, to bring it out, and then a little drag down on the black just to make sure we have got some true black in the image. And I think somewhere around there is about right. Now I want to smooth out this water just a little bit, because I think that'll look really good. So I'm just going to reduce the clarity a small amount, and then introduce a bit more colour to the image. So with a bit of vibrance, not too much because it's already quite a vibrant shot. So about 12 on there, and then maybe about 10. It's probably a bit too much. So back off to about 4 or 5, and then just bring the vibrance down a little bit as well to probably about there. Throughout my image, I'm just testing. If I don't like what I see, I'll reverse it and just test out what the different sliders can do to my image. There's not usually a master plan. It's just about trying to pull out all the best details of the picture to create the final finished image. So that includes going to the contrast curve here. I'm going to try medium contrast. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And we can try as well the strong contrast. And I think that's gone a little bit too far. The way I generally do it with contrast is I go up to the point where I think it's really good. Usually where it's gone to a bit too much, and then I back off again a little bit. And usually that's a good indication that you're in the right area for contrast. Like I said, I'm really happy with these blues, the reds, the pinks, the blues again, and this yellow. But it's not quite yellow, and it's not quite totally saturated. So I want to just bring the saturation up a little bit on this yellow colour here. So into HSL there, and then just click on the saturation panel, and then just click the saturation little icon here, and then you just come over onto the colour, and then you can just drag that up with the saturation till you get a nice golden yellow colour. And I think that's about right, and that's starting to look really good to me. I might just back off a little bit, taking my own advice. Often throughout my edits, I'll keep clicking F to bring up the picture full screen, so I can get a proper idea of how that's starting to look. Like as you can see, it's really starting to come together, and it's a pretty nice image. I'll probably go into Photoshop once I finish the tutorial and remove these ropes or chains that are going into the water, and I might remove this boy here. But it depends what you're going to use the image for as to how much detail you go into in your edit. So I might just leave them in if I'm only going to post the image online. So what I will do though is make the raw file from this image available to you to download, so you can have a go at editing it yourself and see if you can come up with something better. And you can download that now and use it for your personal use, print it out, do what you want to do with it, and hopefully you'll find some value in that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave a comment down below just to let me know if you're enjoying these photo edit videos. I hope you're getting some value from it, and you can see my techniques, and you can pull some good bits out, some bad bits out, things you like and you don't like, and then apply the best bits to your own images. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel for videos on a Sunday and a Wednesday, and I'll see you on another video very soon. I'm Adam, this is First Man Photography, out.